And today we're going to have the coolest, most outrageous, most righteous review of them all with Transformers Legacy Evolution Needlenose, along with Sunbeam and ZigZag. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light up my baby. That's right, hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you are in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you on Spring, or of course, you can hit the join button at any given time, baby, and become a channel member. And this is going to be one of the coolest reviews, man, that I've ever done. Nothing bogus. This is going to be totally radical, top to bottom, because we're looking at the coolest, most fashionable Decepticon of them all, with, of course, Needlenose. From the 90s, double target master. He's not the only double target master. Just how cool is this guy? Well, without any further ado, how about we head over to the table and take a closer look at him. Or rather, them. And yes, indeed, this is going to be one of the most bodacious reviews I've ever done, because I'm looking at the cool cat known as Needlenose, the double target master, with Sunbeam, who has to be the cheeriest name that any Decepticon ever had, and ZigZag. But before we look at him, I'm only going to note one thing. Yes, both of the Target Master partners do take blast effects, which is a very nice feature. But before we look deeper at them, we have to have a look at the packaging first, and the Legacy Evolution packaging. Of course, we have the logo down here. We have our boy in his plane mode right there. Over on the side, we have a close-up of his head. Here we, of course, have like a further back, seeing more of his body with his Target Master partners. Over here we have the, I'll call it the Lio Prime version of the artwork. I'm not exactly sure how these are going divided up on the packages this time. If you're unaware, much like with Legacy, you can take two of the boxes. I showed it with Tarn and Tarn and Lio Convoy, that you can put the boxes together and get one image. We have the tech specs on the top, if you're so inclined for that, and on the back, of course, we have the product images of our boy in both modes, as well as the Target Master partners. And the Evo Fusion this time is basically taking both of the Target Master boys and pegging them together. Here we have the instructions, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually feel like the instructions are pretty good in this case. I did refer to them for kind of the back end of the plane, and you know what? It was pretty darn clear. And here we have Sunbeam on top, combined with ZigZag on bottom. It's just a peg in a hole. ZigZag has two 5mm pegs here, or peg holes on the back. This guy could go in either. I like to put him in the forward one, so that the three barrels are, you know, prominent, but that this singular barrel is the most prominent, right? So it's up to you kind of how you do it. To do the transformation for both is exceedingly simple. You see how I just folded that back? And separate and fold that back. And now we have ZigZag and Sunbeam. So Sunbeam's paint is a 10. The transformation is a 1. The articulation is a 0 because it does nothing. This is literally no different than the G1. I mean, this is a lot of years later. This should have been better. We have the Siege Battle Masters. That should have been used for this. Then we have this guy over here, ZigZag. ZigZag is a 9 for his paint, because he should have kind of like a white belt pelvis section or a silvery belt pelvis section. The yellow's correct though. The transformation again a 1, and the articulation again a 0. These two Battle Masters are a 0.5 each. Like they're not good. Again, exactly like G1, right down to the peg being between the feet, 0 articulation. They're abysmal. Knowing that we have the Battle Masters and that those molds exist, This makes me sad, I'm not gonna lie. But what doesn't make me sad is seeing them with Needlenose. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, but here is Needlenose next to the other two Decepticon double target masters. Quake, who has a custom heater and tip top, both done with Battle Masters. The barrels for them are custom printed barrels from our buddy Grimlock Gone, and a custom singe and hair splitter for Spinister over here. So he fits right in with them, and truth be told, while I'm not a fan of the Needlenose Battle Masters, I will give credit where credit is due. In terms of plastic content, Needlenose clocks in at 96 grams of plastic, a large deluxe, and I like that. I'm happy when you give me more actual product for the price. That said, I still wish we had the Siege Battle Masters included with this guy. Keep the 96 grams in mind though, because that'll come up again a little bit later. All of that being said, I'm pretty sure that in the end I'm going to replace the two guys that came with him with these two. I will custom paint them. These two Battle Masters, they are two like spare ones that I have, so I really foresee that one of these will become Sunbeam and that the other one will, in fact, you guessed it, become none other than ZigZag. So with everything gone, let's focus on Needlenose, who is honestly quite great. And we're going to talk about the look of the guy first. Since he wasn't in the cartoon, he was in multiple comics. There has been some variation to his coloration. So I'm going to try and, I guess, measure it by his G1 release, because that's kind of the most accurate thing to go on. So, starting at the feet and going up, the feet should be purple, the legs, lower legs should be blue with this gray or silver, could have been there. There is a little bit of yellow detail here on the side, from his sticker detailing that's not here on this one. Up on the thighs, them being all gray is fine with me, but there's a little kind of molded in indent here on the thigh. I think that probably should have been painted red. The pelvis being blue is correct. The chest being gray is correct with the Decepticon logo in the center. The way the wings are here on the side, that's correct. The all purple arms and hands, that's correct. The gray head, that's correct. Now the face arguably should be either yellow or green. The original often in pictures looks green, but there's been times in the comics where it's yellow, so while I think green probably should have been used on the face, I'm actually okay with the yellow and I think I prefer it. So overall I'm going to say it's a 9 for the look of the guy, because it's pretty darn great. And while we are missing the kind of yellow detail here and the slight red right here, honestly the metallic-y type of bluish paint, aqua-ish paint that's used down on the lower leg is really beautiful in those vents. I totally dig it. 9 is a strong start. I'll also mention this. There's a significant amount of paint on the wings to give the kind of teal and silver detail that it's supposed to have. I wish that it was up on this as well. It's not, so that's a bit unfortunate. This was separate in the package, the tail fin, but you just take it out and it's just a 5mm peg that goes into a port here on the back. But it looks, honestly, overall I think it looks pretty darn good. A 9, pretty good start. What about the articulation for the guy? Well, the articulation goes left and right for the head, a little up and a little down, like a little wiggle up and down, not a lot, but a little bit. The wings can come all the way forward behind, or they can angle back a bit. You could angle them further if you want to kind of pop this piece out. It's pegged in, but it's easy to pop it out. But with them back that far, your arm can do really a full rotation around, bicep swivel, very deep elbow, and a wrist swivel, which is nice. This hollowness on the forearm is a bummer. It's kind of inexcusable because it did not need to be hollow at all. The wrist doesn't fold in there or anything. There was no need really for that to be hollow as far as I'm concerned. But while I say that, I'm not totally angry with it either. Again, I'll reference that in a second. There is a waist, but because of the way the plane is on its back and design, it's pretty limited. You can get a little bit of motion, but not a ton. Arms can go all the way out to the side as well, if I didn't mention that. Legs can go all the way out to the side quite far. well forward, like a very nice high kick. Not back a lot because of the kibble that's on his back. If that wasn't there, then yes, this would be able to go back. Some people have asked, what if you put the wing forward? No, it doesn't really make a difference. It's not really going to go back any further. Out to the side, if I didn't mention it a whole ton. Thigh swivel, again, all hollow in here, man. And I would have even liked maybe if there was some molded detail in there. This reminds me a lot, the hollow forearm, the hollow leg here, and I'll mention this, the hollow back of the leg reminds me of Earthrise Trailbreaker Hoist, which I ended up loving. Here's the weird thing. Oh, by the way, super duper deep knee and ankle tilt. He has everything at the deluxe that I would want. I'm giving his articulation a 10. Even with the backward limitation, you're going to get what you need out of it. Actually, I'm going to take back the 10. I'm going to say 9.5 because I wish the waist was a little more free-flowing. So a 9 and 9.5. The guy is getting a 9.25 for look and articulation, which is great. As I was about to say, I'm not so angry about the hollowness here. I don't like to see it as a trend, but again, all in with the Battlemasters, we're getting 96 grams of plastic compared to the traditional 84 grams of plastic. I know a lot of people do not like when we see hollowness, neither do I, and I don't think there was really so much of an excuse for it. But in this case, at least we do have the mass in the product. It's there. It's just how they chose to lay it out. Maybe that should have been a little bit different. Let's do that transformation and get it kind of out of the way. Really good score, remember, 9.25. We're going to take these arms and bring them up. There's a rectangular tab here and a rectangular arm up on the shoulder. That tabs in. Is this one? I don't think this... Ah, there you go. Now, I think it's tabbed in. I think they're both tabbed in. This one seems like it's coming out. There. Okay. Pretty sure I got it now. All right. So with that done, we pull down the chest. We take the head and rotate it in. We flip this up. We take these and rotate them all the way in. Take this and rotate it all the way in. We're going to bring the chest back up over. Then we come over here. We're going to pick this whole kind of backpack off. We're going to pick it off and pick it up. We can untab the nose cone. I do find the hardest part here is kind of angling this out and up, because mine tabs in super duper tight. There, so I lifted it off from there, and man oh man, does not want to go up for me right now. Come on. You should be able to just lift it off and then angle it up. But why is... There! Sheesh! See what I mean? And that's not a design flaw. It's just my tolerances are super duper tight. I'd rather they be super tight for me to pull out on like that than super loose and hanging off. Turn the legs like this and bring them up over the arms, basically. Straighten that up. And we'll bring this up over, this up over. We're going to bring them in over the arms. There, that one's in over. And now, as that one comes up, it's in over. Cool. We take the feet and we bring them together as well. Now, all of this is, I don't want to say it's loose, because that's not exactly accurate, but it's certainly not solidified. This one's not quite right. It's certainly not solidified. As we bring down the back piece here, we're going to solidify it. Most notably, why is this not lined up and doing the thing for me? Strange. Okay, now it did it. Weird. I'm going to note this now. You can put both of the Battlemasters together if you want and open these up. And then there's a little tab right here. And you can kind of slot both of them up on the aft end. It looks idiotic, so I'm not going to do it. But if you want to, basically what's happening is there's two little slots here behind this tab, two little slots, and you use the black slots on the back of ZigZag's feet, and you tab them up there. I'm not doing that because I think it looks preposterous. So we bring this back down, and we bring this down. Oh, these gotta go in, sorry. We bring the feet together, and we bring this back down, and it all tabs over the feet and the legs and everything all tabs in. There's a series, and it shows it in the instructions very clearly. There's a series of rectangular tabs and rectangular ports that all of that tabs together with. Then we take this last piece and we bring it down on the front like this, and really, boom, in the end, here we have Needlenose in his plain mode. Again, like I said, you could put the two Battle Masters back here, but personally, I think that, like I said, looks idiotic. It's not the way that it was really done in G1. In G1, we would use the tips of the wings. We're going to do that here. We're going to use that peg, and we're going to put that there, right? And then on the other side, we're going to use the other peg, and we're going to put that guy there, and boom, in the end, here is now ZigZag, Sunbeam, and Needlenose in their alt modes. And to use slang like the kids and this guy probably would, the dude looks pretty sick, man. Or is it dope? I don't know. I don't know what words are cool these days. I'm not cool. But like, he looks pretty great, right? The transformation, honestly, the only thing that you probably saw me fiddle over was that one section with the backpack, because mine happens to be toleranced quite tight. It's very simple how it angles up and down. While we do have the robot underneath, it's all compacted quite nicely. And not only is it compacted nicely, but you look under here and like it doesn't really look like a robot. It just looks like a bottom. I'm going to say that the transformation is a solid 9.25. The guy was getting a 9.25. I'm going to say that overall, this guy's a 9.25 to a 9.5. We've waited a long time for Needlenose. He was in 2 fan votes, and he failed both times, but nevertheless, we all knew that one day, somehow, someway, we were finally going to get him, and we finally have him. Boy, oh boy, do I think it was worth the wait. The only other thing worth noting, and we'll probably discuss this later, is that these slots in the chest apparently allow this guy to connect with the upcoming Voyager, is it Voyager? It might be Leader, I can't remember now, class version of Transformers Prime Skyquake. And a lot of people say, well, you know, that's an interesting combination. We'll talk about that later, but apparently that's what those slots in the chest could be used for. Overall, I'm glad to have the last of the 3 Decepticon double target masters, and I think, despite my issues with the hollowness, because the mass is there, and despite my issues with the Battle Masters, just because we have the other molds, I still think that overall this is a success, and Needlenose was honestly, at least for me, worth the wait. And here we are, and here they are once again. So Sunbeam and ZigZag are abysmal. They are an abysmal embarrassment of what you would put with this. The engineering is akin to G1. I mean, they're a solid block with just a piece that flips out. Again, much like I said with Point Blank, why didn't you use the Battle Masters molds? You already had them. There was 0 development that had to be done there. All you had to do was include the Battle Masters. Thankfully, I have 2 spare that I'm going to be able to customize to use with this. Naturally, though, it looks great next to the other Decepticon double target masters, being Spinister and Quake. I really wish I had at least one more of the Battle Masters, because I got a funny feeling we're going to get the last of the Autobot, I guess trio, right? Who would be Sure Shot. And I don't have any more extras, so I might have to find a way to get an extra Battle Master if I can. Yeah, so the Battle Masters, I mean, they're painted nicely and stuff, but they do literally nothing. And to me, that's worthless. What about the guy himself? Great colors. This is G1 glory at its best, man. Absolutely, sorry, G2 glory at its best, man, with those wacky 90s colors, right? And you notice some of the slang that I used, of course, was like kind of wacky 90s slang, right? I am a bit bothered, though, that the thigh completely hollow. There's not even like there's anything molded in there to look like gears or anything like that. And then the back of the leg, there wasn't a panel you could put there to flip or something. Like, I feel like they're starting to cheap out again, because we had things akin to this in early generations. I don't understand why the costs are still what they are, or the prices are still what they are, if the costs are being cut this much. I think this is a bit of a problem, but I do love the look of the guy. I do acknowledge that there's a significant amount of paint, so while the trend of seeing hollowness again is a little worrisome, I do think the value is certainly still there in terms of the paint edition, and we do still have like the ankle tilt and whatnot. All the articulation is there, generally unhindered except for the waist, and that's because we have the whole plane on the back. But this is again very accurate to the original, so I'm not angry about it because it's kind of the way the guy is supposed to be. The transformation, easy, logical, intuitive. I have no problems with that. Great articulation, great look, and great transformation. Spells a success for the main bot. I just wish that his target master partners were better than what they were, and I do wish that at least the thighs, even if the back had to stay hollow for transformation, which I totally get, at least if the thighs were filled in, I think I'd feel a little bit better. This is one of those cases where it's a little bit unfortunate to see, much like Earthrise Trailbreaker, because he has hollowness in the same areas. I'm not super angry about it, though, because everything that's done right is done super duper right. Yeah, the guy is pretty bodacious after all. Let me know what you think about Needlenose, who's been a fan vote overlooked for a long time. I'm happy to have the guy. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, man. Stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.